Hi everyone. So We Mean Business is back, and I am very excited to say that joining me on this week's show is the wonderful Natalie Wright. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Are you?
Yes, very good, thank you. Are you back in the office yet? Well, I'm guessing it looks like you're still at home, but are you
My
going back to
home
the office?
Yeah, I've actually been in the office 2 days this week, and for the first time in quite a long time, that kind of I don't want to use the word normal. I'm really trying not to use it, but that normal feeling of just kind of being around other people and working a bit more collaboratively, like together, because you're physically there. It was nice. Yeah, it was good to be there. It was a good vibe.
Yeah, it is nice. And I don't know what you think, but I do a couple of days at home and a couple of days in the office. And I think it's a really nice combination.
Absolutely. And I think, for clients, I'm finding actually most clients are saying, can we have this hybrid approach? So we're not just thinking about it as like a business of working like this moving forward, but actually, for clients, it's so easy to catch up on the screen, isn't it? But that physical presence, I guess it depends on your approach and how you build your relationships. But I'm getting more requests for that physical and screen time as well.
Yeah, that's interesting though, because you're the first person I spoke to that's sort of taken the client into it as well. I'm sure people have sort of subconsciously, but when they thought about opening up the office, it has mainly just been thinking about us going back to work and seeing real people and having lunch together and stuff. So yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so for anyone that doesn't know, Natalie, she is the head of family business at Mazars and has worked in financial services for 20 years this September. So Natalie, to start us off, could you please tell us why you do what you do?
Oh, wow, what a big question. I mean, how I got into this role was probably like most people that I fell into it, but I think more about what keeps me here and why I do it. I did a session with some younger people the other week who are thinking about kind of career steps and where they want to be in the future. And I think my overriding message was I can't think of any other role or profession where you get to use such a range of skills. So, problem solving, building relationships, showing compassion, empathy, training other people, being entrepreneurial, being creative as well. There's so many layers to it. I can't think of anything else that I'd want to do. I think that's probably the main reason why I do it.
Yeah, that's so true. I've always said that I like being a financial planner because I like having those conversations and I like talking to people about their dogs and their kids and those sort of things. But at the same time, I quite like to sit behind a desk and do a bit of research or use maybe the bit more analytical side of my brain. And it's a really nice combination. And you probably are right. Like you could put a bit of creativity in your reports, maybe, or yeah, you could just use a bit of everything.
Yeah, you can. I'm really struggling to think of anything else where it will give you so much. I mean, you've got autonomy, but you work collaboratively with different members of your team, with your clients, and you've got that ability to just keep learning, like technically, soft skills. And always upskilling as well. Like I guess that side of it, that continuous learning, that I love that side of it, just constantly pushing yourself.
Yeah, and everything's always changing, isn't it? Like we have to learn so much all the time, and not just technical knowledge, but the environments around us, what it means for our clients. It is always keeping up to date, which I guess is it's quite refreshing, is it? We never stand still and stop learning. I don't think we ever will.
You can't rest on your laurels or you'll be left behind for sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, sort of sticking with that, one of the biggest problems that people find coming into financial planning is feeling like imposter syndrome. So, for you, how was your experience of coming into financial planning and overcoming that?
Start with overcoming it. I think that's still a work in progress. I spoke at the Next Gen conference this year, and quite a few people spoke about it as well, you know, generally about imposter syndrome, suffering with it at certain points in your career. And I think everybody suffers with it at some point, and not just professionally, you know, personal lives we do at times. It's really difficult because it can be really limiting with what you decide to do, because it creates barriers and you stop putting yourself in situations sometimes where you could flourish and you know you could push forward. I think because this wasn't a role that I'd intended to do, and you know, financial services, I always thought I'd go into finance in some way, but I didn't really know in what way. So it wasn't I never had any preconceptions about coming into financial services and financial planning as a profession. I think more that's kind of unwound over time. And certainly if I look back kind of 10, 15 years ago, where the profession and the industry were at that point, particularly being a woman, that probably resulted in me having more issues with imposter syndrome, because I just physically did not see people who looked like me around me in senior roles. And so if you don't see it, how do you know it's possible?
Yeah, no, 100%. It doesn't give you really like something to work towards. Like if you think naturally, you think sort of, okay, I'll aim to sort of be like her, but when it's someone that's not like you, it's a bit more difficult. So have you got any sort of tips that you would say to people for overcoming it?
The best thing that I've done personally was investing in coaching for myself. So, and I've done that kind of on two levels. So about 2 years ago, 18 months, 2 years ago, it was now, started working with a coach from a business perspective, business and career perspective, more as I was working towards this promotion to partner, which I got earlier this year. Really just to think more broadly, where do I want to be? You know, what do I need to think about strategically? So that helped me think differently about that side of things. And then at the start of this year, I started working with a coach more about me personally, but that directly impacts my career, the work that I'm doing. And it's been really interesting just taking a step back and kind of retuning my brain and how I think about things and preconceptions about things. And just, yeah, I guess it's looking at the blind spots, because we've all got them. You know, you can't know everything, and you can't know everything about yourself. So understanding that has been a big factor in helping me move forward with it. And I think secondly, I'm a big believer, do not compare yourself to others. Like, everybody is different. We've all got different skills, different strengths. Really focus on you. And if you're going to compare yourself to someone, do it so it pushes you. So you want to, you know, get to that next stage, that next promotion, that next milestone. Use what someone else is doing to help get you there, not to make yourself feel bad.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's no good comparing yourself to someone else, is it? The only person that you should compare yourself is yourself, to sort of be the best you can be personally. And it's interesting you say about a coach and things like that, because I feel like going back like 5 years, it wasn't really, maybe I just didn't see them, but career coaching and general coaching wasn't as much of a thing as it is now. And so many people I speak to that have overcome, say, big hurdles or just wanted to make a bit of a change in how they feel has had a career coach. So I find that really fascinating. It's definitely something that I keep toying with the idea of. So yeah, very, very interesting. So you mentioned obviously you made partner, which is amazing, at Mazars. What advice would you give to young financial planners who are ambitious and want to progress in their careers?
I think the best piece of advice I was ever given was, really, you've got to own your career. And what I mean by that is it's down to you where your career goes, and it's the actions that you take which will get you where you want to be. You know, we all end up being a result of the actions that we've taken, and, you know, how we respond to situations. But again, particularly as a woman, I guess I've really had to take hold of my career and think about where I want it to be, and then actively make moves to get myself there. So, you know, don't be afraid to shout about your accomplishments and what you're doing well. It's like you need to use your voice for the right reasons and to help you progress. Don't focus maybe on the negatives or the development points. I think it's like using the 80-20 rule. I guess I try and use this in most things. It's what are you good at and really honing on those skills. Like what do you love doing? Because if you figure that out, you can use your skills to find your passion, and then your passion becomes your skill. So I think like over time, I've really figured out what do I love doing and what am I good at, really hone in on that. And then I can start to address those other things because I've got that confidence that this is what I'm really good at.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I think, like you said about sort of maybe what you're not so good at and things like that, I think it's so easy to like be really good at your job and do really well and make one mistake and be like super hard on yourself and kind of undo make yourself feel terrible about the stuff that you've done well, and it sort of takes the shine away from that, and you just focus on this one mistake you've made. But we are all human and we all make mistakes, and I think especially if you're in the right environment with the right role and the right company, like I know I've made mistakes and they're like, it's fine, like we all do it. And I remember just the pure panic, you know, the wave that comes over you when you've done something wrong, and they're like, it's fine, like everyone makes these mistakes. But I think if you try not to run with that too far and accept the fact people do make mistakes, and like you said, focus massively on the stuff you're doing really well and try and keep the spotlight on that, I guess.
Yeah, and also, you know, you've got to think about what is good, like making mistakes. I don't mean it's good as in like you don't want to do something really catastrophic, but making mistakes is good for everybody's development. How do you learn? How do you improve unless you failed at something? I think it was, you know, Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx. I watched a TED talk that she did once, and she was saying like a father used to say to her, what did you fail at today? And they used to talk about it around the table to kind of recognize it's like, be successful. Let's talk about our successes. But think about what you failed at and then flip it. Like, how can you make that a success moving forward?
Yeah, 100%. And how can you just do it differently next time and not do it again? Like, it's fine, you've done it this one time, just learn from it and move forward. Yeah, definitely. And so, as you said, you've been in financial services for nearly 20 years now. So what have you, I guess you probably have seen a lot of change over that time. What has that been like?
Yeah, gosh, you know, it's been 20 years this year. I've really reflected on it because I've got a school reunion this year as well. So it's made me really think about everything that's happened. In some ways, so much has changed, like, you know, regulatory wise, exams, so much has changed. I guess the biggest impact I have seen and the most positive side of the change that I've seen has been that collaboration and community side of financial planning. And for me personally, I've seen that change more and for the better. It's so good to see over the last 5 years. You know, the level of collaboration that you see across, you know, like what we're doing today, you know, being part of the Next Gen community, that working with people who sometimes you may have never met them in real life, you know, you might only know each other in this kind of space, but people just willing to put themselves out there, to spend the time, to help you, to give back. That is, you know, that's a profession. People who want to give back, who want to leave this profession in the future in a better state that they joined it, like that side of it is fantastic. I think some aspects are still changing really slowly. We've had an increase in obviously qualifications, professional standards, with RDR, which seems a lifetime ago now, but that continuous pushing again to, you know, get people to chartered, CFP, and again working together to help people get there as well. That's a great thing. So lots of really good things have happened. I'd just like to see more change from a diversity and inclusion aspect in particular.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, like you said about the community and us coming together, I think I'd like to think that's just sort of going to propel it and make that happen faster and sort of welcome people in. And I know when I joined Next Gen, I think it completely changed my career, because I think I met people that I didn't realize you could do things differently, and you didn't always have to wear sort of like a shirt and a tie and top button, and you could be a bit more, do you know what I mean? And I think until, especially for me at the early part of my career, until I'd seen people do that and seen people say, you can do this, you can do that, we can all work together, I'll answer your question. Like there's, or like women coming forward, like I put out there that I'm going to conference and I just stand in the room and I'm like, oh my gosh, I got no one to talk to, this is awful. But as soon as you start talking to these people, yeah, you just all come together, and it's just, yeah, the nicest feeling. And I think it will definitely do us all good, the profession, people come into the profession, do really good in the future, I think.
Yeah, that support network it's invaluable, because it why do you support people? It's to help them get better, to help them get to that next step. It's really selfless, actually, to support other people for no personal gain, but as a consequence of that, you will benefit from it, because you learn things from each other. Like I always, at times I feel like, God, I'm not giving enough back, because I get so much from other people, from asking them things and seeing what they're doing. But we probably all feel like that. Just the more we share, the better we will be.
Yeah, no, 100%. And just making new connections. And sometimes I just think it's so nice to like have these chats, and the amount of people that I randomly message and who I know I would probably learn from, and I just hope they could maybe learn something from me, but I know I could definitely learn from them. And I just say, can we just have a 30-minute chat? And I've never had anyone say no, and I always come out of those conversations with something, and they always seem to come out of the conversation pretty happy too, and hopefully they take something from me.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So everybody's got something to offer, haven't they?
Yeah, no, definitely. So what would you say, obviously you're in an amazing position, you've done super well, and what would you say can be done to encourage more females into leadership in the financial planning profession?
I think it's a really good question. And actually, you almost need to take a step back and think, why do we want to see more women in business, more women in leadership roles? It's not just to say we've got more women. It's so much bigger than that. And women represent more than 50% of society. So realistically and practically, we are going to be underserving a huge proportion of society if we don't have more women in these roles, if we're not representative of the people that we serve. And, a diverse workforce creates a more innovative workforce. You think about things differently. It's like we've just said, working collaboratively. You offer advice, you think about things more broadly. So it's good for business. It's if you've got a more diverse leadership team in particular, and I think Elvest released some information on this week. I read it on LinkedIn. Don't know if you saw it, about like when you've got a more diverse leadership team at board level, you will make better decisions. You will create a more sustainable business. And as a consequence, it will reflect in your bottom line. Your profits will increase. So if nothing else, there is a commercial aspect to it. Never mind all the other benefits it brings. Commercially, it's a good thing. It's also the right thing to do. And think about the next generation of people coming through. It's, there's a big shift now, and there needs to be. We need to be more representative of the next generation.
Yeah, 100%. And like, I think that's so important what you said, that it's not just about the point of just having more women. Like that couldn't be further from what I think everyone wants. It's not. And I read a book recently by Helena Morrissey, and she said exactly the same. She did the 30% club, and she said I couldn't bear the companies that just did it to just make the 30% and just have the women sat on the leadership sort of board. She was like, it was the ones that understood that the reasons why I was saying this was such a good thing to do, and for all the reasons you just said, to make the company a better company, to reflect the people they're serving, to build a great company and have different views, opinions, thoughts. So yeah, no, I definitely agree. So what would you say is the highlight of your career so far?
Oh, wow. I guess kind of from a practitioner perspective, the highlight was I guess it's a bit selfish as well. Like when I won the Chartered Financial Planner of the Year award in 2018, that was it was a highlight for me because of the process that I've been through to go through that process. And it was my third time in the final, and it was a real journey over that 3 years in thinking more about why I wanted to do it and what was I getting from the process. And someone asked me this a while ago, and I said I got so much from that process because I really challenged myself. So technically I challenged myself, but also thinking about why did I want to do it, and what was my why for doing it. And it was for all the things that we've been talking about, to push yourself, to challenge what you're doing. And I learned so much from people going through it, and again offered me advice. I remember the first year, Kate Gannon, who won in 2016, I think it was, she gave me so much advice and mentoring afterwards. And like we'd met on the night of the final, sat there, I guess like we're almost like competitors, but she gave me so much valuable advice and insight. And I just thought, wow, I want to be better. I want to do good. So yeah, that was probably from kind of a practitioner perspective. And then career-wise, making partner this year, that felt like, it's been a really exciting journey the last few years to get to that point, and I felt really proud of myself, in all honesty. So it's been a lot of hard work, and it's been a real challenge, but I really enjoy it, and I feel just really privileged doing what I do.
Yeah, no, you should feel really proud. It's amazing. And when I came into the industry when I was about 18, I was looking for women like you to look up to and aim for, and hope to be that in years to come when I take all my exams and hopefully if I make partner. Do you know what I mean? Something I was desperately looking for someone like you to aspire to be. So now we're having these conversations, and hopefully people coming into the industry now can listen and get what I was hoping to get when I entered 18. So no, it's amazing. You should be super proud. It's so exciting. It sounds like a brilliant 2-3 years. But we talked about how the industry, the profession is changing, and it's changed a lot. In other ways it hasn't. But what would you say you're excited to see in the future of financial planning?
I mean, the fact now that genuinely financial planning is a chosen career path, like that really excites me. And I think we've seen that shift over the last 2 or 3 years, really, with more obviously graduate schemes, trainee schemes actually being a core part of a business plan and a succession plan. Like, if we don't get people coming through and we train them and we equip them with the skills, we won't have financial advice businesses left in the future to continue the work that we're doing now. So, we are stewards of the profession and of the businesses that we work in. And so seeing people actually choose to do this because of people like yourself who are doing shows like this, and there's so many other things that I can think of where people are putting themselves out there to say, why is financial planning such a great profession? Like, A, understand that it exists. B, what is it? Because still lots of people don't understand or don't know. And then C, why is it so good? Like, what can you get from it, and what can you give back? Just all of those things, the more we keep talking about it, I think that, and seeing more and more people coming through, younger people who actually then a consequence is you will be more equipped yourself to make good decisions about finances. And that as an added consequence is just amazing.
Yeah, 100%. And like you said, the trainee roles, I remember when I started and I just couldn't find a trainee role anywhere. And I was like, but I don't understand what I'm supposed to do, because I can't get a job because I haven't got any experience and there's no trainee roles. So I don't understand what I'm supposed to do here. So, but recently in the last year or two, I've seen so many trainee financial planning roles, trainee power planning roles, and it's just so nice to see an easier way in to the profession, really.
It is, and it's just that thing of the more and more we talk about what we do, why we do it, and the results of the great things that we're doing, the more we'll get people understanding it, hearing about it, choosing it. Financial planning degrees now, who would have thought that kind of 10, 15 years ago? It's great. We just need to keep that momentum and keep it going.
Yeah, 100%. And earlier this year, you spoke at the Next Gen 21 Global Conference, which was very exciting and an amazing talk. So how did you find speaking in front of a global audience?
Well, given that I was talking about imposter syndrome, I think it's fair to say that came into it a bit in advance. But do you know what? In all honesty, I think I found it a lot easier probably presenting and talking on screen. And I think an aspect of that is being in your own environment. I think, this is my happy place. I feel really comfortable and confident here. And just that aspect, I guess I found easier to do. But it was also, again, coming back to the kind of peer-to-peer support and collaboration. There was two people in the Next Gen community, Charlotte Wood and James Wallace, actually, who we worked together to kind of hold each other accountable for making sure our speeches were prepared in time, that we knew what we wanted to talk about, what our message was going to be. And I think I'd have been really lost if they hadn't have helped me. And really, booking a date, we'll run through this, we'll go through it in advance. I never felt as prepared for a talk as I did that day. And I said, "I've just God, I need you two for any other future event." But, they didn't have to do that. It was great that we could work like that together. And again, we don't really know each other. We're nowhere near each other kind of geographically, but that was just, it was really nice. And it gave me so much more confidence.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. It's that accountability, I just think, counts for so much in just every single way. Like I was speaking to a financial advisor the other day, financial planner, who said they have their own financial planner to keep themselves accountable. Yeah. In my head, I was thinking, that's crazy. But then I do get what they're saying, because it gets to the end of the year or whatever, and they're looking at them like, well, you said this is what you were going to aim for this year. Have you done it? Rather than, it's one of those classic things, isn't it? If you're an electrician, you've probably got plug sockets hanging off your walls. So when it comes to your own thing and holding yourself accountable for what you do, it just, if you can, I think makes such a difference. But no, that sounds amazing. I think it just shows, doesn't it, this community and all coming together and helping each other for nothing, just for the greater good of each other is amazing. I think it just, the future looks great, I would say.
It does, yeah.
Amazing. So we are coming to the end now, but I would like to ask you for a book or podcast recommendation that our audience will find inspiring. What do you have for us?
Okay. Well, I'm halfway through it, so I thought I've got one podcast episode just because I think it's really great, and I've listened to it 3 or 4 times. But I'm halfway through actually this, which is The Happiness Advantage.
Okay.
And I'm really enjoying it. So I've not got to the end, so hopefully it continues. But it's all about using positive psychology, and actually, if you're happy and if you think more positively, that will fuel success and will fuel like the outcomes, not the other way around. So it's almost like reverse engineering. We think we've got to be successful to be happy. If you flip it the other way around, actually you're more likely to be successful because you're happy.
Amazing.
Again, it's coming back to, I guess, that thing around don't focus on the negatives, focus on the positives. If you do it in that way, it kind of drives the right behaviors and the right outcomes. So that's the book. And then just one podcast episode. It's called In the Suite. I don't know if you can put any notes into the session, but it's an interview with Stephanie Bergen, and it's all about women in, who want to lead, and more about taking inspired action rather than efforted action. And I've just got so much from that episode. I've listened to it 3 or 4 times now, and every time I listen to it, I pick up something else. So yeah, definitely recommend that.
Yeah, I'm going to go away and listen to that. Definitely. That sounds very, very good. So thank you so much, Natalie. You've been a brilliant guest, and there's loads of information there that I know will be amazing for other people. So thank you so much. Sadly, that's all we have time for today, but I have really enjoyed speaking to Natalie. She's been a brilliant guest, and thank you so much for coming on.